Same, I got thrown off kilter.
Comes
So we have a
Carol.
quorum.
I see, we might even have more people then.
I know Sue is joining us. She's up in the minutes. She got some, we asked Don to vet them to make sure that they make sense.
Okay, let me try this again. And Sue evidently is emailing some updates to everyone because I just got an email here.
Yep.
All right, so let me do roll call again. Rob Mara,
Here.
Paul Golembeski,
Here.
Heather Steers.
Here.
I still don't see Sue Terrio at the moment. Well, hopefully by the end she'll be on. No Curtis Cohane, no representative for police or fire department. Michael Steers.
Here.
Sheila McIntosh.
Here.
Absent Brett McKenzie. Carol Trocki.
She's here.
She is here. She's muted and I can acknowledge that I saw her wave her hand.
Yep.
Jason Burchard.
Here.
And John Glenn.
I'm here still.
Okay. All right.
All
So
right.
now we're good.
Okay, we are going to jump right first into the second item of the agenda. Don sent us a sketch or sent it to Carol and we got it all based on the last discussions at our last meeting. We asked Don to do a crude sketch. We thought we were all with what we were hearing, but we weren't quite sure how it all fit together. So I don't know if everybody can open both at once.
Well, I can share my screen so you can look at the
Okay.
sketch if you need.
Okay, that would be good.
Okay.
That would be good.
Carol, do you have both sketches, the 524 and then the update?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. Maybe show the 524 first because that might be clearer to look at, and then we can go to the update. Great.
Okay. Can you see it?
I can't see the bottom of the screen, Carol. I can see the top part
All right.
and part
Let
right
me figure out how to get my Zoom a little, maybe a little bit more than that. Whoops.
That's getting better.
Whoop, too much.
That's
All right, that
Looks
looks
good for me.
Oh, dear. Hang on. That's probably too small, huh?
yeah. I'd go a little bigger if you
Let
can.
me try 42%. How's that?
It looks pretty good to me.
yeah.
There you go.
Oh,
I'm just seeing if I can move this bar. There we go. Okay.
all right, good job. So this is basically based on the design, as we said, is based on the existing East Bridge. So that from the top view, you can see the horizontal 2x6, approximately 2x6 timbers for which make the bridge deck. And then you can see the timber bumpers on either side, which are a curb for the traffic going over the bridge. And so we're going to mimic that design, of course. We're also in the side view now, you can see the handrail, which we're going to have on the bridge. Looking from upstream or downstream, along the channel, there'll be a horizontal boards, which I'm showing like with the three nail holes or screw holes,
Uh-huh.
and just to convey that that's really a board. And you can see that the concrete is the dashed line, that the soffit of the culvert or the bottom of the concrete bridge deck is that
Mhm.
dashed line. So the wood will come down just enough to cover it. And then we're going to try to cover the rest of it with stone. Carol, if you could now maybe go to the updated sketch.
Just before you go,
Oh,
Donnie, what
sorry.
happens between the boards, which I think I see dotted line? Is that as I'm looking at fat boards between the planks that go across the bridge perpendicular to the span? There's a series of, it looks like teeth across right underneath the
On the side view, John, is that what you're
yeah, on
looking
the
at?
side view, yeah. Is that the
that's-
boards?
Yeah,
Is
that's
that the planks?
That's the edge of the planks that form
Okay.
the deck. Yes,
Okay.
yep.
Okay. And what are you thinking about handrail?
Just something simple and,
Okay.
you know, I didn't give it much more thought than that.
Okay.
We'll be thinking though, when we design the concrete structure for casting, we'll be thinking about putting in anchor bolts and whatnot so that we're able to, you know, secure the handrail properly and secure the horizontal, like ledger boards that are going to run, you know, below the teeth, below the bridge planking on the sides there. We'll make sure we have plenty of fasteners
Okay.
so that the wood will be secured properly.
How much flexibility do we have for the handrail? Does it need to be a handrail, be a knee rail? If it's our preference, what's our committee's thoughts on that?
The lower the better.
That would be my sense, but can we get away with that?
We can, so that's something that that can be fine tuned later,
Oh, yeah, sure.
right? Because that's going to be, think about that handrail is going to be mounted to the
Yeah.
timber curb stop, if you will, which will be mounted to the timber planking for the deck, which will be mounted to the concrete culvert. So we'll have plenty of opportunity to, we won't make any critical decisions by getting as far up as the decking and the bumpers on the decking before we have to start really thinking about a handrail.
That makes sense. I just, you drew it up, so I had to ask.
Yeah, sorry, it's really rough. I was just trying to, this is good, it's food for thought, right?
Does anybody, Rob thought as low as we can get away with. What's everybody else's thoughts? Sheila, what's your thought? What's, Heather, everybody?
I would imagine there are some guidelines we have to follow, but I'm fine with low. I just seems to me somebody must dictate how high a railing over a body of water is, but I don't know.
No, that's exactly right, Heather. We'll have to see what the lowest we can do for that, and then decisions will have to be made from there, right?
Yeah, I know.
I'll find out.
Trails in New York City, buildings have to be 42 inches high, but that's high. So maybe we can get away with less than that.
What's the existing handrail on the West Bridge now? It's probably pretty close to that, isn't it?
No,
Yeah.
it's about 8 inches. Oh no, the top or the
pedestrian bridge.
one. Yeah, I don't know, probably.
I bet 32 inches is a minimum. I'm just guessing. I'll find out, but I bet it doesn't have to be 4 feet. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I'll find out what that is.
that would be great if you could find out. So what is John, do you want to move on to the next sketch, the updated sketch? Carol, maybe? Now, Carol,
Hang on now, that's at 100%. Don't ask me why. Let's try 45.
looks good to me.
All right. So you can just show the top half of the screen, Carol, that there's no change
Yep.
bottom if that helps enlargement.
All right, let me go up a little bit more.
There,
Oops.
yep. Down just a hair.
There you go. How's that?
Down one more notch if you can, you'll have it. Good, that's perfect. All right, so what I was trying to do in this update in red was to just convey, again, from the top view, a better visual of what the wing walls will look like than the ones that I drew in the side view. That didn't quite do it justice. So we need, we need the wing walls, of course, to direct the water into and under the bridge and to pass it non-erosively out the other end back to the unprotected channel. So we're to review what we talked about is we know we're going to need footings under the concrete structure itself. We'll need footings under the wing walls, and the footings under the wing walls will serve as the basis to build the stone, to put the stone walls. We talked about trying to address when you're down low in the stream and you actually have a vantage point of looking under the bridge, that people expressed concern that if that was the case, they didn't want to see concrete. So we were trying to come up with some way to address that. I think that's going to be a little bit problematic after thinking about it a little more. What we want to have is one continuous wall under the bridge on either side. So the water's just going through it has nice walls on either side. So there's no opportunities to create eddies, which eddies will, as you know, reverse currents and whatnot, and that's the sort of thing that not only does it slow down the hydraulic capacity, it slows down the amount of flow that can go under the bridge. It also tends to cause erosion. So we've got to address that in some way. I think one thing we could do is, if you look at in the sketch, the wing wall labeled wing wall, which shows the stone, I think we would just bring that just under the bridge as far as the car stop or the car bumper. And then we would have to cast the bridge wall narrower from there underneath the bridge until you get to the same mirror image on the other side. So in other words, if you came up the wing wall, if you was water flowing in the channel, you came down, you hit the wing wall, now you go along the wing wall, now you turn and you're going under the bridge, you're going all along our natural stone until you just get under the bridge, under the car bumper, and then you're going to continue, but you'll be continuing along concrete, unless we want to go to the extreme of building a stone wall on the footing underneath the bridge. I mean, that is an option. We can certainly do that throughout. It just seems to be a lot of work, potential, any stone work is not as permanent as concrete is. And so my concern is, you do get differential settlement, things happen, frost heaves and whatnot. I mean, over time, those sort of things happen. So I think we need to just try to give that a little more thought.
What's the depth on that you're going to see if you're looking down the roadway of the concrete that will be exposed?
I'm thinking, so we'd set the wing wall would start, at zero at the bank, right, in terms of grade. All of a sudden, it's going to rise up out of the bank as it approaches the bridge. Just before it approaches the bridge, it's going to turn so it's parallel and perpendicular to the bridge, right? Just extend under the bridge. I'm thinking 2-3 feet, something like that.
Okay. On the 12'2" measurement, if you look underneath that hand-drawn 12 feet 2 inches,
yep.
If I'm looking that way, basically in the stream, looking at that 12.2 measurement, what's underneath the wood? It's concrete, right?
It's going to be a concrete wall. Yeah. So you think about it, that stream, as you're going downstream, you're going to, in the regular channel, then all of a sudden you're going to have 2 stone wing walls, which are going to form the banks. Then you're going to have under the bridge, you're going to have vertical concrete walls that form the banks and then come back out under the reverse.
And what's the width? Not the width, but the height of that concrete underneath the 12.2?
Yeah, so Carol, can you go down to the bottom of the page?
Sure.
So see that. So are you asking basically the depth of water that can flow under this?
No. If you look at where the 3 nail holes are, or screw holes, that's covering cement, right?
That's correct.
How what's the size of that board?
Oh, that's going to be about roughly 12 inches of concrete.
All right, so if I'm looking the other way, from the X's in, it's only 12 inches of concrete that I'm going to see. Because that board doesn't go all the way around, does it?
Can you say that again? Explain that again.
All right, so I'm looking at the horizontal view.
This is the road surface.
if I go perpendicular towards the 3 X's, the 6 X's,
Just from the side.
Yeah,
and I'm looking that way, what am I seeing? Concrete, right?
if you're looking that way, that means you're underneath the middle of the bridge, correct? You're
Yeah,
in the
right.
same Bridge, yeah, you're looking at a concrete wall, and on either end of that concrete wall, where it comes
Other
out
wing
to
walls.
the bridge, you're gonna see stone.
Yeah, right. So the only concrete we see is if I'm looking underneath the bridge.
Correct,
Well,
that's correct.
Okay.
There's
you're
gonna
not
be-
going to see it as you approach the bridge.
No.
You'll see it a bit, because when we were out there, we could see, when we were standing by the side of the bridge, we could see the stones underneath the bridge. Don,
Yeah,
is this a financial issue? Because we could make the stone longer and add more stone under the bridge, right? If we wanted to veneer the underside, the walls under the bridge with stone, we could do it, but you're saying it's more complicated. You have to do you have to do a footing, a pad for the stone to sit on and so on, right?
That's correct, and more than that, I'm concerned of durability over time. I think what I would suggest there, if you want to go in that direction, John, is to do the foam liner that we talked about, which gives the stone, rough stone etched surface to the concrete, and we paint it black to help Mother Nature, darken it herself, and so it's going to create the look. So unless you get under there and study it, you're going to see it. But even if a casual person probably might not even realize, because you're going to have a stone transition to stone. It's going to be a rough finish under there. But like I said, I'm concerned in this case not about aesthetics as to durability and longevity.
Yeah.
Could that concrete, the vertical concrete surfaces under the bridge be set back, say 6 inches, so that the stone kind of stone on the side protrudes out a little bit, so that the concrete is sort of is visible?
So
Make
what
any sense?
that's a little problematic, John, in that
It
that's
probably-
what tend to start causing eddies, because the water
Okay.
flowing by wants to flow
Oh, yeah,
upstream.
that would make sense. Yeah, that would be bad. Yeah.
I mean, we could taper it if you but that's not going to really change anything, is it? You're trying to get reveal the horizontal reveal, and I don't advise it here. I think it's going to be.
I think visually, if we tapered it, it's going to reflect upward, and the concrete's going to be bright. The surface is going to be brighter. I know we can stain it black and so on, if we, it would drop back. It would be much less visible if dropped back. You said that the faux stone, to put an imprint into the wall with faux, fairly expensive. If we use rough sawn concrete, rough sawn planks as the to pour against underneath the bridge, would that be cheaper? You know how sometimes rough sawn planks is used in for concrete forms to give a little bit more texture, and you see the gaps between boards and stuff. So it isn't just such a flat surface.
Right. So yeah, I think in order to achieve that, John, though, because this isn't poured in place, this is precast.
Yeah.
So I think we would need
precast. Yeah, we can't. That doesn't make sense in precast. No.
Well, you need the form liner. Way back when, the approximate cost was about 10,000. Was just a rough idea from the casting yard. We can look into that a little more and see, because We don't need form liner where we're on the horizontal board where we're covering it
Oh,
with
no.
wood. But I don't think we're talking a huge savings. I think, there's a price tag and it's probably going to be close to 10,000 to do that finish under the bridge. And we saw what that finish kind of, in terms of the texture, you have different choices to choose, but you saw that on our field trip because the wing walls were actually individual blocks, concrete blocks, 2x4, and they had that, that stone look to it. So that's kind of what the texture you can get. So it's much more texture than what you get by the rough sawn boards.
Are we getting a little too lost in this? I mean,
Yeah,
isn't Mother Nature gonna pretty much darken
Right.
all that up underneath eventually anyway?
Yeah, one humid summer and it's gonna be black under there.
Yeah, I'm just, I mean, we're talking about a view getting down in the stream or standing way back. Well, to actually see under the bridge, you're gonna have to go pretty far back to look under the bridge to get the angle.
Yeah.
I just changing subjects just a little bit on the wing walls, Don. I'm assuming those taper down to grade. They
That
go
was
down.
my next question.
That's correct.
Those have to be horizontal or can they taper down from the bridge?
No, they will. So they'll start out starting in the bridge, it'll be horizontal because it'll be underneath the look of it supporting the bridge, right? Supporting the timber deck. So it'll come out horizontal, and then once it makes the turn, it'll then start to taper down, basically to be buried in the bank at the grade.
That sounds good, don't Paul, don't you think?
Oh yeah, no, that's you can't tell from because you're getting an overview. You can't actually see the angle from that. But that makes sense. And the wing wall down. I don't know. I just don't want to get lost in trying to decorate something that very
Right.
few people are actually going to see.
Yeah.
Don, can I ask you a question, Don? It's Jason.
Sure.
So the pressing into the concrete to make it look like natural stone, have you seen it before or seen somebody else who's done it or up close?
So
Seen the finished product, I mean.
the only finished product of that I've seen up close is down at Ryan's Culvert down the south end of Long Highway.
All right.
The wing walls with the precast concrete blocks, and they use that form liner, so they look like stone. It's not just finished clean edge concrete. It's got the roughness and stone look to it.
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering if it's, if looking at it, if it's worth it. It's kind of like, I'm wondering if it's going to be like putting a picket fence to hide your above ground septic system. You know what I mean? It's like kind of draw attention to it by kind of adding things to it. If we keep it simple, I wonder if less would be more. It's just a thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the form line that finish under the bridge and the concrete could wind up making the stone head wing walls look odd. You know what I mean? It might.
Yeah, because they're not going to match. It's not going
Right.
to. It would make it stand out more than if it was just plain concrete that just aged.
That's right. I agree with that.
So I have a question about the stones, and I guess you've just brought it up, Jason. We have different areas of stonework, and where are these stones coming from, and what will they look like? Because that could be huge.
I've been looking around at a few different places. I found a really good selection of medium, because this isn't a big boulder job, and we can't really have anything too small either. It's going to get washed away. So over Aaron Moniz's house, I don't know if you all know him. He lives on Long Highway, right at the crest of that, right just past Wilkie's garage. But he's got a really good selection of, and more than enough that we would ever need. But he brought up a good point that, whoever the mason is who does this might very well have a connection that they like to use for this type of stone as well. But he said that his is certainly for sale if it comes to that.
And what does it
So
look like?
Hang on. I took a few pictures and I don't know how this is going to come out. That's So that's one. So there is still a little bit of orange stuff in there, but there's still a lot of aged gray granite. There's aged blue. It's all a good little Compton mix. Let me see what else I got here.
We'll take it.
Yeah. So, so I'm sure that he'd be willing to
Yeah,
to get rid of it for, it'd be a good contact for getting, local stone for short money. But, like he said, whoever the mason is, they might have their
mhm.
own ideas on what they think is best for the job.
Thank you. That's good. Well, is Sue back by chance?
Hi, John, I'm here.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Excellent. Before we get to Sue in the minutes, is there any more comments about what Don has showed us? I'm sure we'll get back to the issue of detail or not detail in the form concrete, but that's, as Paul says, particularly at this stage, is that it's a detail.
The only question I had was Don's drawing of the current bridge, I think shows the length of the bridge at 12 feet, 10, something like that. And did we have a number that we were thinking of? It seemed to me the last conversation was to have the bridge a couple of feet longer to make the space under the bridge a little bit wider to increase the flow. Had we arrived at a number for that?
No, we haven't, Mike. So those dimensions are the existing bridge dimensions. So that 12-foot, 10-inch span, we're gonna try to increase that, to your point, to see if we can get a little more flow. If we can increase the hydraulic cross-section that's existing, get it a little longer, make the channel under the bridge a little wider, which would increase that cross-section. That's what we're gonna try to do. We haven't done the hydrology to determine the flow. And once we do that, then we can do the hydraulic analysis to determine, hydrology will give us the peak flow rate to design for, and the hydraulics will tell us what the opening needs to be to pass that peak flow rate. Or if we can't match the one we do, at least we can evaluate it. So for certain storm events, this is what we expect is gonna happen. So none of that's been done yet.
Okay, and just while we're looking at that, it seems to me that if there's a cost impact, which I'm sure there'll be some to the length of span, that may have a limiting factor as to how the concrete needs to be, feet instead of 12 feet.
Yeah, right, because basically, right now, the existing width of the channel under the bridge is 9 feet. Okay, so
Okay.
what we're trying to do is we're trying to increase that existing 9 feet to maybe 10, 11, which means the span above will have to lengthen proportionately to accommodate that. So we probably would then wind up with a maybe 15-foot long bridge. The 12-10 might become 15 at the end of the day.
Just thinking that 15 may be more than we want to go, or whatever, just so we have a feel for, before we land on a number, what the cost impact is.
Yeah, so I think probably the next time this committee reconvenes relative to this project should be after the hydrology and hydraulic analysis is done. Then we can talk about, and I can, work with the casting yard a bit too to get some technical questions answered, and then we can improve the sketches to show what we're seeing there before. And this would be the next step, because we don't want to draw final plans or start filing permits or anything till we're settled on what we're trying to build.
Do you need water for hydraulics tests? We're getting short on water around here.
That's for sure. We're going into after last year's drought. We never came out of it in the winter, and doesn't seem like we're making progress here.
But I'm just curious, how do you do a hydraulics test?
Oh, it's all equations. These are all empirical.
Oh, okay.
Edie's and all these people, they sent different flows through different shaped flumes and weirs, and they just took measurements. So all the hydraulic formulas are empirical.
Got
But they're pretty cool. They work pretty well.
Can I get asked one question just for clarification? When it comes to the wing walls, I have in my notes, I have two different things in my notes, so I just want to get clarified. So the stone extending under the bridge, at one point I have written that it would stop under the curb. And then another point I have that the stone would extend under the bridge 2 to 3 feet. But I know the curb is only going to be a foot in under the bridge because of where it's placed on the bridge. So which one do you think is correct?
I think probably somewhere in between is probably what the final answer will be. I mean,
Okay.
But approximately 2 feet.
correct. I think that's a good way to go, because what we'll do is we'll have accommodation on the footing at that point for the stone to sit on. So we might even do a 3-foot footing, and then when we start building it, we look at it and say, well, you know what? We only need to go 2 feet, or the stone we have is ideal to only go 2 feet, but the footing is under there and it's in the last 6 inches or whatever isn't used. So I'm more concerned with making sure we have a footing big enough, and if we decide to scale back, this would be now, like what Jason was saying, that would be more the mason on site with the stone he has. If he's held to going exactly, say, 2 feet, and the stone he has, it would be better if it was only 1.5 feet or vice versa. You know, I think we want to have a little bit of extra footing to give him the leeway, but allow him to say, yeah, you gave me 3 feet of footing, but I only wanted to use 2 feet of it because it made a better job.
So it
That's,
sounds like you're saying 1 to 3 feet. I heard 1,
Approximately.
I heard 2, and then I heard 3. So maybe 3 feet.
so I think we want to go with a 3-foot footing to allow as much as 3 feet of stone to extend under the bridge.
Okay.
And I would leave it up, I think, to the mason to see if that's how far under we need to go.
Donnie,
That said, we will have to fill the void there, again, to get that smooth, continuous wall from stone into concrete. So we'll look at that a little more, but I think for tonight's purpose, maybe we could say the stone will extend 2 to 3 feet approximately under the bridge.
Okay. Thank you.
Is this a good time to look at the minutes? Because they sort of encapsulate, in verbal form, what Donnie's been showing us. Sue and Carol, are you ready? Can we, Sue, you sent the minutes to Carol so she can post it on our screen?
Oh, that's good. I sent it to everybody. Carol,
Yeah.
Okay.
You did just send me some minutes.
all right, awesome. So those are the ones that would incorporate Don's comments. There is one comment I didn't incorporate, but we can talk about that, and I will incorporate it if you would like. It has to do with the, well, we'll get there.
Do I have the right set?
Here, scroll down. Yeah, it's draft 2, so you're good. You've got the right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the changes that I made, I italicized. So I don't know if you want to go through all of
Let's
them.
see. There we go. Here's one.
So possibly is the first italicized
Up
word.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, so I put in possibly, just because I was thinking, if we do larger stone at the base, we're gonna have
Yeah.
a tapered wall underneath, and I don't think that's gonna work. So maybe we should just strike a real stone facade wrapping, 2 to 3 feet under the bridge, and strike what came next. Does that make sense? Is that what we discussed? So the shelf to accommodate a real stone facade extending 2 to 3 feet under the bridge. Does that,
Yeah.
and forget about the larger stones at the base, strike that part.
Okay, so what we're doing is incorporating tonight's conversation into the minutes? Is that
Oh,
what?
I'm
You
sorry, I
You
forgot.
shouldn't do that.
Oh, my bad, sorry,
Yeah,
Sue.
you shouldn't do that. Just stick with what actually happened at the meeting on the 3rd.
Okay,
Okay,
And remember too, you don't need to have verbatim. So if this reading the way that it is now gives you a general description of what the discussion was on May 3rd, then it's sufficient.
oh, and for what my 2 cents is worth, I thought reading it, Sue did a great job with it. So what I was doing is Sue asked me to read it, and I started like adding my spin on it, so.
So
okay.
maybe-
We should go back to the original minutes.
Well, I think that, I think what Don did was there's not that many changes, but I think especially when it comes to the erosion one, Don did a nice job of describing where the erosion is. So if we just quickly go through the italicized, so there's a possibly, he's using better engineer terms like boards and head walls. Yep, there's head walls. The word could. The part. Okay, yep, okay.
Hydraulic.
Spans, hydraulic. All right, we'll keep going. And then this is the part that I think was much better, describing where the erosion occurs. So the straight run in the first turn below the waterfall has experienced considerable erosion. The erosion of concern is along the right bank, looking downstream adjacent to the road, and then through the 90-degree turn where the stream leaves the road.
Mhm.
That was another change. And that's it. So the comment I didn't include, but I will if you want me to, is the one, it would go with the stone facade under 1C. And it is, let's see.
It was talking about the foam liner and painting it black underneath. Is that-
Right.
All right,
Yeah, exactly. So it says the stone facade could wrap under the bridge on both sides so no concrete is visible, or a foam liner could be used to give the concrete under the bridge a rough stone finish, which could also be painted black. I didn't include that foam liner part because I had the impression from the last meeting that we weren't interested in going that route. But if you want me to include it, it has the word or, I certainly can.
Well, we talked about it, so why don't you put it in?
Okay,
Carol, I don't think we're changing anything that was discussed. We're just basically commenting on the minutes we did before.
Right, if in adding that section to that sentence, you are still talking about what was discussed May 3rd, then it's
Mhm.
certainly appropriate to have it in there.
Yeah, I think we were talking about it on May
Yeah.
3rd.
I believe you did as well, yes.
Yeah.
and Sue, before you finish up with the 1C stone facade, so on my comments, I added head walls.
right.
And then I thought better of it. Can you strike that? Because we're only covered, we don't have the head walls are covered with the boards. So only the wing walls will be faced with stone. So you can strike head walls from that.
Okay, and then what about the word, so before I had the footings and any wing walls, do you want me to not include the word footings?
Yeah, the footings won't be seen. And yeah, I don't think you need to include the footings there. So
Okay, good, all right. I'll get rid of the word head wall.
So can we make a motion to approve these
I have
minutes
a
with changes?
could I have a comment?
No, yeah, please don't, go right ahead.
Okay, under E, accessibility and tree impacts. Maybe I'm dreaming, but I was under the impression that the trees may possibly need to be removed. I thought there was going to be some evaluation as to what kind of equipment was brought in and the size of the equipment. before we summarily said the trees had to go?
Well, I remember from the site walk we did down there that the double 12-inch oak, which is on the right-hand stream bank, downstream side, that has to go in order to not have to remove other trees, because we're talking about the crane to lift the pieces in place. We do need to remove that one in the 18-inch white oak right opposite. I mean, my advice, my suggestion would be go down and take another look at it. But I think those two trees have to be removed to really affect a really decent installation. Otherwise, they're going to be we're going to have a hard time working around them. You know, hopefully they won't get hit and scarred working around them, but sometimes that happens, and hopefully they would survive. You know, the digging around the roots, and hopefully trying to leave them there won't compromise the installation of the bridge footings and the bridge itself. So those are a lot of hopefullys for two trees in the middle of the woods. My advice is they need to go, unfortunately.
Well, Don, you had also mentioned when we were there, the double white oak that was just to the right of the bridge. There was also that was one of the natural swales from when the water comes up over, so that would kind of drop down that side a little bit, so that water would go, if it did come up over, you know, in a flood, it would go around, follow those natural swales on both sides of the bridge. And I remember that double white oak was kind of right in the middle of that too.
Yeah, and
So,
Jason, was that on the upstream side of the bridge, right? Not on the downstream side?
I thought that both the trees that we were talking about were on the south side of the bridge.
Which would be downstream, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
East side.
So I think Heather's point,
They'd be on the side of the bridge closest to Swamp Road are the ones that I think
Yeah.
need to move. Okay.
I think,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think Heather's request is that we just change will to may until we know exactly the size of the pieces will, and the thing that's chosen, the crane operator. It obviously, from your experience, what you see now, it will probably have to be done. But rather than quote this as a decision to cut down the trees today, if we can change will to may, that improves things.
This is
And-
John. I don't have any problem with that.
I liked what Don said to affect a good installation as the rationale for the removal, so that it's clear why.
So
But
adding
that-
that to the minutes.
That's going to be that the installation, to at least from my perspective, will be the people that we hire with the crane and all that stuff. They may need to have a wider berth than we're imagining now, and they may not. So anyway, it just seems to me that decision should rest once we know exactly what the size of the pieces are and who's going to do it.
I don't have any problem saying may.
No. I mean, I think there's still a possibility that at the tee that there might be one or two that has to go just for them to make that first corner. So, I mean, I think it's completely reasonable to leave it up in the air at this point, because we don't really know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yep. Yeah, Jason, you bring up a good point. I was waiting till that came up. The stream stabilization work we're going to do below the waterfall, adjacent to the road. We're going to need to, at the end of the day, once that work is done, I think the road itself is not going to, wouldn't make it any wider, but we might have to wiggle it over a foot or two. And you know, there's a couple of trees on that side there that may, be desirable to remove them because of the integrity of the work we're trying to do.
So now it sounds like some trees may need to be.
That's correct. So when you come in the entrance from Swamp Road up to the waterfall and you turn to the right, there's two trees on the right-hand side there that I think at the end of the day, we're going to think it's a good idea to take those out.
Mhm.
But
I
I
think
like the idea of leaving that call till we get, further along. I think that's a good way to leave it.
Okay,
Great.
well, as Carol is warning us, we're starting to mix up 2 minutes.
Correct.
So while we keep looking at the last month's minutes, I have no problem say just getting rid of the word "to" and getting rid of the word, just say trees may need to be removed.
Okay.
And then say, and for access, but leave it as A, because we don't want to take out any trees, but we may have to.
Great.
Sue, does that make any sense for?
Yeah, so it's 2 trees may need to be removed at the East Bridge site, both on the downstream side for access.
Or no, or just say, get rid of "to," just say trees may need to be removed.
The minutes aren't gospel, but they just have a general thing of what we discussed.
Yeah.
And we discussed the 2 trees. That's fine. It doesn't
Okay.
mean in the minutes we're going to make from this
Yeah,
meeting,
right.
we can turn around and say,
Okay.
at the further discussion, we realize more trees may have to be modified to get the equipment in. And then we can put that in the next minutes.
Okay, I think that, yeah, I think that's true. Sue, that you're okay with that?
Oh, totally okay.
All right. So what are the modifications? I think we have to vote to approve these minutes. With which modifications have we agreed upon, Sue, that we're voting on for last week's minutes?
Okay, so Carol, just a procedural question. Since the minutes are up and we're sort of changing the wording right now together, could these minutes then become the draft minutes that we are approving? Could it work that way?
Yeah, what the vote will end up being is that you will be authorized to make the amendments that were discussed just now in this meeting.
Okay,
And then the group would accept those minutes as amended.
okay,
Okay. It's important because this is the, we're voting on not just the minutes, but basically the conclusion of the concept design phase. So we want to try to get it right, as close as possible in order to help Don. So, so can we do that? Can we do all 3 of those at once? I think we have to.
What do you mean, all 3?
Well, accept the minutes of the last meeting with the changes that we made today. And then in essence, that will become the completion of the concept design phase. Isn't that right, Don?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the purpose of today is to finalize the concept design for the bridges, right? And we threw in a little more of the concerns over it by the waterfall.
Yeah, maybe.
So my 2 cents is that you're doing 2 things. You're
Right.
accepting the minutes as they've been amended through discussion this evening.
Yep.
And then later you will take a vote that will conclude that the minutes from that meeting and the discussion this evening concludes the direction that you give to Don for the design phase.
So we'll vote twice.
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any disagreement with that process? Can I have somebody, if not, can I have somebody vote to accept the minutes of the last meeting?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as modified.
Thanks, Rob. Anybody second it?
I'll second it.
Can we have a vote then? Maybe we should, does anybody disagree with that, or is it a unanimous vote?
Well, we have to recognize who on the committee and how they voted.
Okay. All right. Carol, how do you vote? Carol Lynn?
In favor.
Okay. Sue, how do you vote?
yes,
In favor?
yep,
Rob, you've already made a motion.
Yeah,
Sheila?
but he still needs to vote.
Okay.
Making a motion is not determining your position.
Okay.
I
Rob?
vote in favor.
Okay, Sheila, how do you
In
vote?
favor.
Paul?
I in favor.
Aye. Jason?
Aye.
Heather and
Aye.
Steer residents?
Aye.
Okay. Tony? Aye.
You're still on mute, Tony.
Just give a thumbs. Okay.
Record shows he was in favor.
Yes.
Don Quinn votes aye. Okay, now can we have another vote then to for approval of the concept design phase? Would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll move that we accept the concept design phase as presented today.
Okay, thank you. Anybody second that?
I'll second that.
Okay, good. May we have a vote on that? Carolyn? Carolyn,
In favor.
okay. Sue Terrio,
Aye.
Rob again,
Aye.
Paul
Aye.
Golembeski,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
the Steer residents,
Aye.
okay, Tony. Okay, aye, and I
Aye.
vote aye too. Okay, good. So the concept design phase is approved by us. And Tony, you'll be talking to Don about payment for it if he submits a payment. I guess that's your business, not ours.
That's fine with me. I thought he was doing this gratis, though.
Oh,
Just kidding, just kidding.
John, I have a question. So the design that we were sent would accompany the minute, would be attached to the minutes, correct? And then today's design, can we get sent that? I don't think we have that, do we?
Yes, it
The,
came.
What? It was sent to us?
Yes.
No,
I didn't get it.
Not the one, the
I just
first
got
one.
the 24th. I didn't get the one with the red markups.
Yes. Can
Red
we
markup.
get that?
Late this afternoon. My apologies.
Okay.
Wait, are we talking about the picture, Heather? Are you talking about the picture that she had?
This goes with the minutes, correct? And
Yeah.
then the new design would go with the new drawing would come with the concept design?
Wait,
Mm.
the new
No,
design?
no, well, what you held up, Heather, was
Yeah.
what you talked about today. So if it goes with any minutes, it comes today, not for the last meeting.
It was sent to us earlier. Oh, for today. I see. Okay, got it. Can we
But
get a
then what-
copy of the other? That's my
Yeah,
question.
the new one with the red. If it were emailed, I didn't get a copy, so it would be nice to have that as well, please.
Okay, good.
And you're talking about a picture as well, Sheila? Are you
The
talking-
one where Don added in red pen.
a picture where he added in red pen?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay,
please.
okay.
Okay. All right, excellent. I think next item on the agenda is when do we want to meet next? Don, you said you have a lot of work ahead.
Yeah, we got some work ahead of us to do. So rather than schedule a meeting, for a month from now and have to delay it or show up and say we really haven't finished it, I think we ought to put the next meeting out a couple of months to give us time to do what we need to do. Is it possible do we need to set a meeting, or is it possible for me to reach out when we have the hydraulics and hydrology done, so we have something to share with the committee?
Yeah.
Fine with me.
I would like to try to keep it going, but I don't know. Do you think you might be able to hit late August then, Don?
So,
Or is everybody away?
well, let me ask you this, John. Does the committee meet regularly for other things, or is it just specifically this project?
Well, we do have the deer fencing as an issue. It's something we want to talk about. Sue, do you think we can have that discussion over the summer?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So why don't we set up a meeting for that? And then John's off the hook for a little while longer.
That sounds good.
Yeah, you still have a lot of work ahead, though.
Yeah, we have some work ahead and it's, you know, it's the summer months, there's a lot of busy things going on, so.
So, is there a general estimate, Don, of when you might be ready?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, 1st of September sounds like a good, it's the change in the season and, you know, ready to gear up and sounds like a good target. If I can get it done sooner, I'll reach out to John and you guys can schedule an earlier meeting.
How about having a meeting on the, say the 29th of June, Tuesday, the 29th of June, about deer fencing and so on, because it's kind of an interesting project.
That sounds good.
Good.
Yeah.
Carol, are you available?
Yep, I can. I got a few other meetings that day, but I can fit you in.
Okay, good. 4 p.m.
4 p.m.
Okay. Is that okay with everyone?
It's good.
All right. So I guess, do we have motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
1 second. May we have a vote? Carolyn?
I vote to adjourn.
Okay. Sue?
Yes.
Rob?
I'm not sure.
All right.
No, let's,
One abstain. Sheila?
Yes,
Paul?
please.
Jason?
Yes.
Okay. The Steers household?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
And I would like to vote that way too. All right, thank you very much.
I
Carol.
I will too. You didn't ask me, but I will
Yes,
too.
yes, we did. You were asleep. No, thank you, Paul. I thought I did. Okay.